Hey everybody, welcome to Gearhead Garage. Looks like a beautiful day out today. It might be time for a road trip. Let's hop in the Mini Cooper here and head out and see Darrell Peterson today. See you in a bit. I made it out to Darrell Peterson's place in his backyard here. I'm going to walk into his shop here and let's see if Darrell's home. Sounds like he's in there. Get by Darrell's big motorhome here. I think I hear him back here. Looks like we've got some memorabilia on the wall. Oh, there he is. Hey, Darrell, how you doing?
Welcome to the shop, Lon. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
It looks like you've got a fair amount of memorabilia here.
Been part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Cool. Well, we're going to get around to most of this today and have Darrell explain like where that Texaco sign came from and checkered flags, pictures. Of course, we're going to talk about his race car too, that you'll see here shortly. And then first, let's talk with Darrell a little bit about what got him into this crazy sport of motorsports. Darrell, how did you get started in this crazy business of racing?
Well, first I remember in grade school, I was always getting Motor Trend magazine and Sports Car Graphic, and all the other guys were playing football and baseball, and I did some baseball, but geez, I was just always attracted to cars and racing. And I was hooked on road racing right away, and there was no coverage back in those days. I mean, back in the day we used to call them chugs and run them down the hill in St. Paul in front of buses and stuff, and with no brakes and stuff. I was always into speed even as a 10-year-old kid.
I think all of us have been there. I did exactly the same thing. So.
Yeah, and racing bikes and building dirt tracks way before there was BMX stuff like that. We came home bloody every day. If we didn't, there was something wrong. And I got into my first autocross my senior year of high school. I bought a Triumph TR3 and went and did my first autocross down in Wisconsin. And it was actually a street race. They called it Gymkhana racing back in the day. And it was actually a street race with hay bales and the whole deal. And my dad used to take me to the stock car races and the Cedar Lake Speedway and the sprint car races. And I actually started to build a race car. And then the Vietnam War broke out, and I got drafted for that, and I went and joined the Air Force. Went right to the Air Force recruiter rather than go to the Army.
Right.
So that waylaid me for about 4 years, and I got back in '73 and got out. And the first thing I did was find a Formula V that I could rent for driver's school, and
cool.
I've been racing ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've raced primarily in the Midwest area then, kind of. But you've done, of course, the local tracks, the Brainerd, the BIR, and Road America, and Kansas City, I'm sure, and different places.
Yeah. So it's been something that's been in my blood and my family. My wife through racing. I raced against her uncle in Formula V, so she knew what she was getting into when she got involved with me, and we're going on 36 years now. So I got my son involved in kart racing, and we did 9-10 years of kart racing. It was more than a hobby. It's become a passion and a lifestyle, without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious from all the things that you've collected around here, as far as you've been a lot of places, looks like you've done a lot of different types of racing. So it's all like you've done some kart racing. Of course, the Formula car that's sitting behind us here we'll get to later, but that's something we've been talking about. That's cool. You've been into a lot of different areas then.
I've always loved the sport. I've always loved the people, and I've always loved the passion. I'm a passionate person, and it's really easy for me to get excited about something I'm so passionate about. But I've got so many friends that I've developed through racing. Obviously with meeting my wife through it. But obviously, it's just been, you can go to a track anywhere in the country and somebody, hey, how you doing? And if you need a part, you got it. You'll lend parts to somebody that you're competing against a half an hour later. Happened to me at Road America last year.
It's almost like you have as much fun after the race as you do during the race.
Without
doubt. Racing is competitive, and you got that adrenaline going. But as soon as the checkered flag waves, it's almost like all right, now we're just all friends. Let's just have a beer and talk about what we both love to do.
Exactly, relive the whole day and all that, and it's amazing how the stories are so different between everybody. It all happens so dang fast, and sometimes it's nice, now we all got onboard cameras, it's a whole different thing than it was in the early days.
Well, let's do this. I'm going to grab my other camera. You've got a lot of stuff here that really looks very interesting to me, and I know there's a story behind each one, so let's pick out your favorites, because otherwise I'd be here for 3 days if we went through everything. Right. Let's pick out some of your favorites and let's talk about this. Darrell, let's kind of take a walk around here and just see exactly, like I said, you've got a lot of interesting stuff here. That Silverstone Circuit sign caught my eye when I first walked in the building. Tell me about that.
And I won't throw anybody under the bus, but I've got a corner worker friend that's worked the Formula One races for 20, 30 years probably. And I saw the sign at their house years ago, and I said, if you ever want to sell that sign, I'd give you whatever you want for it. And they just ended up giving it to me. But that was actually at the Silverstone Circuit for the Formula One race, mid-'80s or so. So it's kind of with a Royal Auto Club logo, which is pretty cool. It's kind of a neat little piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, that is really cool. That's the original right off the fence, it looks like.
Absolutely, absolutely. Got an old Texaco Star sign that came off of my brother-in-law's dad's first Texaco gas station. He gave it to me for a birthday present, which I thought was amazing. Kind of a neat little piece. But I've got memorabilia here all over. I've got kart racing trophies. Those are our year-end trophies. My son and I, those are championship-winning trophies. I got 3 championships in Yamaha 100cc class, and my son's got 2 championships, one in Yamaha Junior and one in Briggs Junior. He went from Briggs all the way up to 125 shifter karts, and we did the sprint tracks, and we did some long tracks. We did 125s at Road America on the 4-mile road course. We did 100cc karts when he was like 10 years old at Gateway down in St. Louis. And at 10 years old, he was going 110 miles an hour in a Yamaha kart, full-bodied lay-down kart. So we've been doing this for a lot of years in a lot of different types of sports. I've done ice racing, I've done motocross, I have metal parts of my body from motocross racing I'm living with now, but done ice racing, did some ASA super truck stuff, the clip of the truck.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. That was up there on the in the attic area, but I'm sure it's up there because there's no room down here on the floor for it. So
got knocked off the truck at Elko, so we had to put another nose on, and that's the picture of the truck over there that was taken at the Milwaukee Mile, and we did the whole 2010 season. I was Interstate Truck Driving School was owner and sponsor, and I was just driver having fun going to all the races, and was tied for Rookie of the Year with a 15-year-old kid, and I was 65 years old at the time, something like that.
Darrell, I see you've got a book there from 212.
Well,
what is that? Let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, this is a 2012 ASA series. And like I say, from a road racer being thrown into circle track stuff was a real interesting deal. But Bill Collins and Interstate Truck Driving School put this together for us. We had a 3-truck team. This is my truck. This is Bill's. And this was our first race at Wausau Speedway at the state park down there. I had my baptism of fire that way. My spotter told me to go the wrong way, and I went up and squeezed the champion right into the wall. So from the previous year.
That's when you left your helmet on when you got back in the.
Yeah. He came looking for me. He was pretty ticked off. So I learned that as a rookie, I'd stayed in my car with the window net up and the helmet on for a while before it was safe to come out. But this is a nice memento of the whole season. This is this is Bill up on a guy. I'm on the other side. This is up at Grundy County Speedway. It got pretty rough and tumble out there, believe me, but this is a really neat book on the entire season. My first race win at Wausau Speedway as a rookie, which I'm really proud of. That was kind of a turning point for me to be in Victory Circle, and the crew all happy about that. And I think a second race we were at the Milwaukee Mile, and that was a whole other deal. I mean, the Milwaukee Mile is where is it in here? It's a pretty daunting mile track. I mean, the Indy cars race there, but this is just, it was a dream come true to be a driver that didn't have to put any money into the deal. I was just, shut up behind the wheel with my helmet. Here's Elko Speedway, be T-boning a guy, the car burst into flames, and that was when I knocked the nose off. So, yeah, it's just a whole different deal than road racing, but God, it was some exciting racing, and again, just a great group of people. So.
Yep. So what are some of the other pictures here? I see you've got some up on your workbench here.
Got a cool shot of Paul Newman up here back in probably the late 70s or so, early 80s up at BIR with a perfect Newman profile, and he's mad at somebody on the false grid. And a friend of mine took this with his motor drive Minolta, and you can see at the tail end there, Paul's a little upset with somebody. He's flipping him the bird, which I thought was a pretty cool picture.
Yeah, Paul was up there quite a bit and really added, I think, a lot to the sport up there, which was kind of cool.
This is an article that the paper did on us when we were kart racing. My son and I, when he was racing Yamaha at that time, and he's starting his old man there. This is a picture of his championship trophies he did for me as a surprise. There's a chassis that I was in that mess. That was in about 97, I think, 90. I'm not sure. The kids were both in diapers at the time. My wife wasn't too happy to be running in the ambulance to the hospital.
Exactly.
And the Don Skogmo Memorial Trophy in 1978 for Most Improved Driver in LOL, which is a prized possession. And I'm running the Dirty Bird decal on my car to this day in memory of Don Skogmo and Scotty Beckett that just passed away. So I'm happy to be part of that little club. But, this is kind of cool. This is, people who go to Road America now don't remember the old pagoda. There's the old pagoda on the main straightaway. That was a landmark at Road America. I mean, now Road America has done some amazing changes, and it's a beautiful, beautiful road course. I'll be racing there in 3 weeks. But that's my Formula B at the time, and there was about 50 cars on the grid for that race, and this is the front row for the race. But to have that pagoda in the background, that's a pretty memorable picture.
Yeah, for sure.
One of my AMSOIL sponsors at the time that I was using. This is my son when he was about maybe 2. And that wasn't a posed picture. I didn't even know it was, somebody caught that, he grabbed the lug wrench just to spin the wheel nuts on, and I wasn't even aware he was doing that, but that's a pretty cool picture. After him going through all the racing that he's done all the way up into 125 shifter carts, he's become quite a driver himself, so.
All in the family, it looks like.
Trying to, we'll see. See how long I can get away with it. That's my Crosley 20F. That was before I tore it in half. I ran it in Club Ford for a number of years at Brainerd. It went down through the hands Craig Taylor, actually, who owned Taylor Gears for many, many years and sold that now. Owned the car originally, and Craig and I went to driver's school together. I was in a Formula V, and he was in the Crosley. And then Tony Foster, his teammate, bought the car, and I got it from Tony after that. And then I had my bad crash in that car and broke a bunch of ribs and stuff, and it was a no-start situation. But that wasn't a fun day riding in the hospital. I thought my wife would be done with me. I told her I'd quit racing at the time, and I was ice racing that winter. So anyway, this is a Corvette I raced up at Brainerd in the rain, won with that car in the rain.
I see there's one over on the wall here I want to talk a little bit about too. It looks like you've got a ton of Formula Fords over there in the photo.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a look at that and explain to me what that is.
Yeah, that was 2019 was the 50th anniversary of Formula Ford, and they held the event at Road America. There was cars there from all over the world. I think it was close to 230 total entries there. Everybody was, it was an amazing deal. We all grouped up down at the bottom of the hill, and everybody was walking around everybody's cars and getting to know each other. I mean, there was Indianapolis drivers. I mean, anybody that's worked their way up into Indy cars has pretty much gone through sprint cars or Formula cars, and Formula Ford has been a stepping stone. Dennis Firestone was there, one of the first Formula Fords that won a championship here. The ADFs, the Zincs, the Citations, the Lolas, and whatever. I'm back in here. This is just this was a photo shoot by a big cherry picker up here. There's a lot of famous people in this picture that have been, like I say, worked their way to Indianapolis. But it was an amazing, amazing 4-day event to be part of that. We started 87 Formula Fords in our race down there. It's a 4-mile road course, and by SCCA or vintage standards, you can run 25 cars per running mile of race course. So it's a 4-mile track, 14 turns, so they could have run 100 cars down there. 87 cars, believe me, going into turn one at 120 miles an hour, or even on the first lap at 105 probably, was rush hour on steroids. It was just helmets and tops of tires, and it was quite an experience. Just surviving that. It was a pretty amazing weekend.
It sounds like your passion is still with the Formula Ford, which we're standing next to right here, Darrell. Talk to me a little bit about any history behind this vehicle at all here?
This is a pretty rare duck here. I'm racing this car in vintage because I'm vintage, and the venues are so cool in vintage, like the Brian Redmond race I was just talking about. I mean, there'll be Can-Am cars there from the era. There's just Formula One cars and whatnot. The fields for these are bigger than even an SCCA right now. This is a 1975 chassis. I got this car 3 years ago. I made the transition from SCCA racing. I still carry an SCCA competition license and instruct SCCA driver schools, but I really like the vintage venues because the format's a little bit more laid back. We're still racing awful hard, but everybody's on treaded tires. In Formula Ford, you have a minimum weight of 1,125 pounds. That's with the driver in the car. So Hoosier, Avons or Dunlops are the spec tires you can use. I think most people here are Hoosiers. Seems on the West Coast, most people are going Avons out there. I don't know why. Maybe they just got a better deal with the Avon distributor out there. There's one race on these. I raced Memorial Day weekend up at Brainerd. I was on the pole both days with the car set faster time than I've ever gone. I went 2.5 seconds faster this year than last year. So we made some changes of chassis over the winter. Took some weight out of the car, took some weight out of the driver. And with 1,125 pounds minimum, that's after you come across the scales at the end of the race. If you're heavy, you're just giving up horsepower. If you're light, you're DQ'd. You can be light 5 pounds and you're going to be, going to the back. So whatever you finished at. So this is what they call a Formula Ford chassis. The formula is that there is a formula for the class. So there's a rule book that says for Formula Ford, this is the weight, this is the track, this is the wheelbase, this is the engine displacement. Formula Ford started in Europe as a stepping stone to Formula One. It was even before karting. It seemed to be that everybody that went to Formula One went Formula Ford, had some karting experience, Formula Ford, Formula 3, Formula 2, and Formula 1. Ayrton Senna and all the, Patrick Tambay and Gilles Villeneuve. I mean, they worked their way up, to Formula 1 through starting in Formula Fords. So it's basically a 1600cc pushrod engine. It's what they call a cross-flow motor. It's 1600 cc's, 4-engine, a four-cylinder motor, a single Weber carburetor. You can't really do a whole lot to the motor other than balancing, blueprinting, porting and polishing the heads, lightening the flywheel, things like that. But you can't bore them out. You can't put cams in. The cams have to be the regular, the stock duration. But it's a driver's class. You've got chassis adjustments that you're making all the time. You've got front and rear sway bars. This being a 75 chassis, all of the shocks are outboard. When they got into the early 80s, either front or rear shocks were inboard. Now, Formula Fords, the shocks are all inboard. The cars are all very aero. But the nice thing, this era was like, they were just starting to experiment with aerodynamics. So the radiators went out away from the front, like in my Crosley, it was a front-mounted radiator car. These are side-mounted radiators with a shovel nose, so they got more aero in the car. This car was built in California by Red LeGrand, and it's a very rare chassis. There's probably 4 of these that I know of in the country right now. And I ended up getting a new nose from a guy that I found on Facebook. He posted a picture of his LeGrand, and it's Charlie Williams' kid. And Charlie used to build Formula Ford motors, and Brian Williams is down in Kansas City. I saw him on Facebook. He posted a picture of his LeGrand, and I messaged him right away. Geez, you wouldn't happen to have a spare nose mold around, would you? Yeah, I do. So he got me this nose made up. I picked it up at Road America last fall. That's my old nose. It's at least 40 pounds heavier than this. So that was nice. I'm going to do a trade for him, and I'm going to take the center body off because he needs a center body because he's restoring his right now. So I'm going to get a new center body, which will be much lighter, so I'll be closer to weight next year. So I mean,
It's that family thing you were talking about earlier,
Help
that
each
whole
other
family.
out, and I want to get more cars on the grid and get more people. It's just
Darrell, what do you have to do? Say if I'm interested in maybe getting into like an SCCA situation, what were your stepping stones to actually get there? I know you probably started, like you said, in gymkhana, maybe karting, maybe that type of thing. But if I've got my goal set at being an SCCA racer, how do I do that?
well, you got to do a driver's school. It's very much like having a pilot's license. You got to do a driver's school. I just instructed a 3-day driver's school up at BIR this spring, and back in the days we had the spring driver's schools and the fall driver's schools. Right now you can do a 3-day school and get a competition license and get your SCCA ticket. If you got prior racing experience, you can get a vintage racing license with most clubs. I've kept my SCCA license current for many years, and that will suffice no matter where you go.
What else is there out there that's available for people if they want to maybe not necessarily be a race car driver, but want to learn maybe to drive? In your case, I'm sure you started at a certain level and then moved your way up from there. Is there things like that available for people also?
Sure. I mean, we do track days too. We're doing track days right now at Dakota County VOTEC with the Gary Curtis driving experience. I've done track days up at BIR. I've instructed up there for years, and now we're doing Dakota County VOTEC with Gary Curtis driving experience. We've got a course set up where you're going to hit 100 miles an hour with some of these Corvettes and Porsches that have come out, and it's a very technical course. It's really more demanding than people realize once they get out on the track at Dakota County VOTEC. There's terrain changes. There's some thread the needle stuff where you really get some G-loading. It's a lot of fun, so I think our next event is July 13th, if I remember right down there.
Yeah, I think it is the 13th, 14th, something like that.
Yeah,
That's in the middle of July. It's on their website, so you can certainly find it. I'll stick it on the page here so they can see it. So.
And we're doing some teen classes too. I think we've got a Street Smarts the very next day on the 14th. Yeah.
I believe that's right. Yeah, for any drivers that are available, geared a lot towards the teen, but a great place to learn car control.
Nobody's going to jump into this sport and just go gangbusters right off the bat. You're going to pay your dues. You're going to learn the craft, and you're going to work your way up. And the safe way to do it is proper speeds, and learn the racecraft. And as your techniques get better, then your speeds will pick up. It's a wonderful thing to see when the lights come on, because all of a sudden they go, wow, and you go, yeah, and you're high-fiving your student, and when they understand it to at least break through that next level, it's fun from an instructor standpoint to give them some to break through that next threshold.
Another one that joins the family.
Yeah, and it's just the passion is infectious. I just love the sport. I love the people. I'm lucky to be involved in it. I'll be 73 this July, and I still can hardly wait to climb in this damn thing and go 125 miles an hour. So
it's obvious you enjoy the sport, Darrell. I'm going to take a couple of minutes here now and just kind of walk around and just look at some of these pieces that you've got on the wall here. You don't necessarily need to comment, but I'm just going to do a quick little pan here to show everybody that Darrell has been in this sport for a long time and has picked up, as you can see, memorabilia from literally probably all over the upper Midwest, and in some cases, like we talked about earlier, even over in England. So,
I got photo albums that will go on for years and years. So if I ever get in trouble with my wife, I got a pretty nice man cave to come to. I got a microwave in the living room. I got a bathroom in here. I got my Coke machine. I got beer down here. I can survive in here just fine. That'd be good.
So if there's a nuclear attack or something, we know where to find Darrell. He'll be out here in his motorhome, which you can see he's also got parked in here, which he uses to pull his trailer to the racetrack, and lives in comfort when he's not out on the racetrack.